Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Longtime Trump advisor Roger Stone was arrested on Friday by federal agents and charged with 7 felonies. None of the charges had anything to do with Russian collusion or election meddling, but you'd never know that from the penalties he faces. If convicted, Stone could die in prison. Nobody in Washington seems to find that punishment excessive. Many have cheered it. Officially, Stone was charged with lying, something most of our political elite engage in every day. But his real crime was flamboyance. Stone has spent the last 40 years giving the finger to the people in charge. In the end, they got him. They always do. Stone's arrest is already fading from the headlines, replaced by the latest political crisis of the moment or some new skirmish in the ongoing culture wars. Soon we'll forget it ever happened. But before we do, it is worth taking just a moment to consider a few basic questions about it, if only because nobody else is going to. First, why did the Justice Department stage what was, in effect, a military assault on Roger Stone's house? Stone himself asked that question on ABC over the weekend. Watch.
The idea that a 29-member SWAT team in full tactical gear with assault weapons would surround my house, that I would open the door looking down the barrel of assault weapons, that I would be frog-marched out front, barefooted, and handcuffed when they simply could have
Roger, let me just
contacted me. I think people need to know about that.
Yeah, but as you know, it's pretty standard for that to happen.
That's pretty standard, as you know. But is it pretty standard to send dozens of federal agents with rifles to arrest an unarmed 66-year-old man who's been charged with a nonviolent crime? Well, no, it is not standard. It is shocking, and any honest person who pays attention could tell you that. Roger Stone, who was there, says there were 29 agents on the scene, along with 17 vehicles, 2 of them armored, and a helicopter overhead. If that's an accurate accounting, it means the feds sent more armed men to Roger Stone's house in Fort Lauderdale than they did to Osama bin Laden's compound in Pakistan, just for some perspective on this. So what was the justification for doing that? Prosecutors knew perfectly well that Stone was not a flight risk. He's broke. He doesn't even have a valid passport. They could simply have called his lawyer and told him to surrender. That's the actual standard in cases like this. But they didn't do that. Instead, they went in with guns drawn. So who decided to do that? And how much did it cost taxpayers? Well, we spent the last 2 days trying to answer those questions. And it tells you a lot about contemporary America that we couldn't. We still have no idea. The Justice Department wouldn't answer us. The White House, which supposedly oversees the Justice Department, didn't even respond. Maybe they don't know the answer to those questions. Possible they don't control Robert Mueller. Nobody controls Robert Mueller. Mueller can send armed men to your home to roust you from bed at gunpoint just because he feels like it, and there's nothing you or anyone else can do about it. Mueller has an unlimited budget and no timetable. He doesn't have to answer questions. He can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, to whomever he wants. He cannot be fired. Mueller is the single most powerful person in America, and yet nobody voted for him. He is a living rebuke to the principles of our democratic system. At the same time, our leaders tell us that we need Robert Mueller, an all-powerful, unelected prosecutor accountable to no one, to protect us from threats to, brace yourself here, democracy. Nobody in Washington catches the irony in any of this. Mueller himself is a threat to our democracy, the most powerful man elected by nobody. Our media don't ask questions about any of this or even acknowledge that it is a question. They've chosen sides. Here's Roger Stone from our show on Friday night.
It's disconcerting that CNN was aware that I would be arrested before my lawyers were informed. So that's disturbing. If it was a dangerous situation, which would merit the SWAT team, well, then CNN's cameraman would be in danger. I don't know why they would be allowed to be there.
So that's a fair question, no matter who asks it. And many began asking it within minutes of Stone's arrest on Friday morning. How did CNN know about a raid that was supposed to be secret? Did they learn from Mueller's team? Well, CNN reacted angrily to the question. We're reporters, they said. We're not state media. We didn't collude with the feds. We used reporters' intuition. Yesterday, CNN President Jeff Zucker dispatched his minions to bat down further questions on this topic. Watch.
On the right, on the fringes of the right, a conspiracy theory spread, and I won't get into it, but it was about CNN and Robert Mueller, and it spread
that we were tipped off by Mueller.
Sure.
Give me a break.
Right, to embarrass Roger Stone and to record his arrest, so I guess it would embarrass him. It's like they were saying it's propaganda. A lot of people, including some mainstream commentators and journalists, started asking questions about this conspiracy theory. And I think as journalists, we have to be very careful not to allow bad faith actors to hijack the conversation and to move the story away from what it really should be.
Save that tape. It's one for the ages because it summarizes everything. So just to recap what you just heard, we journalists, says CNN, need to fight back against the, quote, fringes of the right who just want to, quote, move the story away from what it should really be, end quote, which, it goes without saying, CNN decides. They decide what the story should really be, and if you don't agree, you're on the fringes of the right. In other words, shut up, you guys. Stop asking questions we don't feel like answering. But this show persisted because that's our job. And so we asked both CNN's official spokesman and the kid you saw playing media reporter on the screen a very simple question. Did Mueller's office help you with your story? The response, of course, feigned outrage. How dare you? You're right-wing. Be quiet. But when we kept pressing them, an interesting thing happened. They didn't deny it. So to be totally clear, here's the specific question that we asked. Quote, did federal law enforcement officials confirm the raid on Roger Stone's house to CNN before it happened? Very simple question. And when we pressed it, CNN dropped the fake outrage. They just refused to answer. Because, of course, CNN talked to Mueller's people before the raid. There was never any doubt about that. All the barking aside, Mueller wanted the raid on Roger Stone's home caught on tape and publicly aired as a warning to other disobedient witnesses about what can happen to you if you step out of line. CNN was happy to oblige. So CNN acted as the public relations arm of the Mueller investigation, as they have before, and then they lied about it in the most self-righteous possible way and sent those kids out on TV to lie some more. So it answers a lot of questions. No wonder CNN seemed so eager to defend Friday's raid and to belittle and attack and marginalize anyone who asked honest questions about it. The network is no longer covering Robert Mueller. They're working with Robert Mueller, and you should know that as you watch it.